guys, welcome back. My name is Katie and today I wanted to do all of the wrap-ups. So here is a very long story as to why I'm doing a September wrap-up, Slay That Series wrap-up, and October wrap-up all in one video, and that is because I decided to do my September wrap-up and my Slay That Series wrap-up in October because Slay That Series didn't end until, the first week of October, so I decided to do that. But by that time, I ended up moving, which was like 2 weeks ahead of when I was originally going to move. And I haven't had internet because when you move, you have to set up electricity and set up internet and heat and water and all of that crazy stuff. So I haven't had internet. Then when I got internet, it wasn't working and I had to wait a week for the guys to come fix it. Anyways, long story short, this is going to be my September wrap-up, my Slay That Series wrap-up, and my October wrap-up, all in one glorious video, so let's just get into it. So in the month of September, I read a total of 4 books. 2 of them were in the month, and 2 of them were in the month, but they were for the hashtag Slay That Series readathon. And I'm just going to go through them in the order that I read them. So the first book that I completed in the month of September was An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This book is absolutely freaking fantastic. I loved it. 5 stars, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Would recommend. It is a young adult fantasy novel that has some ancient Rome culture references, and it follows 2 perspectives, a slave and a soldier, and it kind of how their paths cross, and there's a little bit of mystical elements. There's not a lot of magic yet, but it's so freaking good. I absolutely loved it. I would recommend this book. I cannot wait for the next book to come out. After that, I picked up Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This was my first Colleen Hoover book, and it follows Tate Collins and Miles Archer. It's also a dual perspective, but the cool thing about this is that Tate's chapters are in present day and Miles' chapters are 6 years prior, so we're getting backstory with him, but we're also getting present day Miles, and it's really good. It is a new adult novel, and Miles is a pilot. Tate is a nurse, and she just moved to San Francisco, and she's living with her brother who is also a pilot, and her and Miles start up a friends with benefits relationship, so it's basically just sex without any relationship, and it gets ugly. I really enjoyed this book. It was my first Colleen Hoover. Her writing is absolutely delicious. I don't even know how to describe it. I read this in 2 sittings, and it was absolutely wonderful. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Towards the end of September, I participated in Sarah Without an H and Read Like Wildfire's hashtag Slay That Series readathon that lasted 8 days, and it was really fun to do, and they had some really cool stuff going on. But this readathon, which I hope they do it again, was basically to finish a series that you've been putting off or complete an entire series or a trilogy or whatever in the readathon. And I set a goal for myself to finish the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. I had 2 books left in the series, and I completed that goal, and I'm so happy with myself for that. So the first book that I read for the Slay That series in September is Spiritbound by Rochelle Mead. This was my least favorite of all of the Vampire Academy books. Really loved the series. I thought this book could have been taken out and the last book could have been this book because I felt like a bunch of this was just filler information and it was really dramatic and it just didn't connect right with me for the last part of the series. That being said, I still really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And I picked up The Last Sacrifice by Rochelle Mead. This is the 6th and final book in the Vampire Academy series. I completed this, which completed my TBR goal for the Slay That Series readathon, and I loved this book a lot. I thought this was a great ending to the series. I wish that this book and this book were combined almost, or at least just the events in this book were so much better than Spiritbound. I think I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, maybe a 4 out of 5 stars, but I thought it was a really good ending to the series. Now I'm going to tell you about the books that I read in October. Now again, this month has been really crazy because I have been moving, work has been insane, and I just haven't had too much time to read. So I only completed 2 books this October, and the first was an audiobook, and it's called Midnight in Austenland by Shannon Hale. I listened to the audiobook of Austenland by Shannon Hale when I was in high school, and then when I found out that there was a companion to it, I was really excited. So Austenland is a book by Shannon Hale, and it follows the main character Jane, who is overly obsessed with Pride and Prejudice, and so her great aunt sends her way on this vacation to Pemberley. I don't think it's called Pemberley. That's the actual house in Austenland. I cannot remember what the house is called in Austenland, but basically she goes on this 2-week all-inclusive vacation where you dress up in Regency clothes and you meet guys and you like banter and do all of that stuff. So that is the premise of Austenland. Midnight in Austenland is set in the same world with some overlapping characters, but a new main character, Charlotte, and it's actually a lot spookier than Austenland, which was really good for October. I really enjoyed it. The character was so different. Like, she wasn't obsessed with Pride and Prejudice. She just liked Jane Austen, and she was in completely different circumstances, and there's a whole mystery going on, and I thought this book was really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And then the next book that I completed in October is going to be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling with illustrations by Jim Kay, and I am completely 100% counting this as a new book for this October because it was a whole new reading experience with the illustrated edition. I would 100% recommend it. If you haven't read Harry Potter, I would recommend it. If you have read Harry Potter, I would recommend it. The illustrations are absolutely beautiful, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So that is it. Those are the books that I read in the month of September and for #SlayThatSeries and in October, and I think it was a pretty good reading couple of months for me, and look out for my November TBR. I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!